Hello friends, Axel here, and not just me, but also the new Steam controller. I've been waiting for this for years, and it's finally here. So let's jump into this. We'll do some comparisons between it and the Steam Deck, and also the original Steam controller here in just a bit, but let's do the unboxing. Oh geez, okay, I don't have my camera in a great spot here. All right. Your games at your fingertips. I've had so many packages that have like perforated little strips like that it doesn't come off cleanly like this did, so I'm very happy that came off cleanly. There it is. That's okay. Here, let's put you down like this. Whoops. That is a very solid box. Very solid cardboard. Okay. This is a really awkward angle. I don't know if I can make this better. Not really. Sorry, we're gonna have to deal with it. All right, before we get to the main event here, I think up top. Okay, here's our USB A to C cable. There's that. Very nice. Just slides off. Don't need to tear open the cardboard or anything. And yeah, cable has a pretty nice sleeve on it though. Very soft. Not like doesn't feel like it's going to be stiff or anything when trying to stretch it out, bend it. All right, very nice. Now the controller itself. Just slide that out of there. Okay, yeah, if you've handled the Steam Deck before, this is going to feel very familiar. Obviously, the grips are going to be curvier and everything. But overall, yeah, the texture of the plastic feels very similar to the Steam Deck. Very, very similar. All right. Okay, so the face buttons, that's interesting. So it's similar feeling to the Steam Deck, but like they're quieter, like a lot quieter. Yeah, that's a lot quieter than the Steam Deck. I like that. I like that a lot. Now the D-pad, which I am really going to want to test the D-pad because I don't love the D-pad on the Steam Deck. I've heard this is supposed to be better. Definitely quieter. Ooh, oh, okay, that rolls like way easier than the Steam Deck's D-pad. Also quieter, I think. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely quieter than the Steam Deck's. Not like significantly, but I do notice that it's quieter. That actually does feel really good, but we'll have to do some game testing with that. It feels like thinner than it looks as well, which is interesting. I think it's because like the bottom part here where the trackpads are, like that's not super, it just looks like it would be thicker than it is, but it's actually not. All right, triggers. Okay. Let's get that, like, see if we can see that a little better. Let's see. Yeah, definitely a different feel than the Steam Deck, but like similar resistance. Okay. And supposedly the triggers have Hall effect sensors as well, which isn't advertised in like the spec sheet of the Steam controller anywhere, but like I think some teardowns showed that these are Hall effect triggers. So that's interesting. All right, with the bumpers. Yeah, those feel very similar to the DualSense. So the Steam Deck has the like clickier shoulder buttons, L1 and R1. Steam controller here feels very similar to the DualSense controller. Kind of like similar-ish design too. Speaking of designs though, the triggers also have like more of a, it's like kind of that lip to the back of them. Yeah, kind of, yeah, very similar to the DualSense. I think like a bit softer of a press than the DualSense as well. So you know, some people do prefer clicky or like more like a mouse-like click for the bumpers. I think the hold on, like the Ultimate 2 from 8-Bit Do. That's more similar to the Steam Deck. This is more similar to the DualSense. Yeah, I'm still also surprised. Like, it is a lot lighter than it looks. It looks like it'd be heavy, but it's like very similar weight to the DualSense, which I think also lines up with like their actual weight in grams. I haven't even tested the thumbsticks yet. These are supposed to be like amazing. Very similar tension to the Steam Deck. Very, very similar. How are the clicks? I think they feel similar pressure required to click them in. Maybe a little easier than on the Steam Deck. So on the Steam Deck, if we look at the stick caps on this, you can kind of, I don't know how visible that really is on the camera here, but like they're more like angled on the sides, and they have kind of just a little bit of a like kind of a ridge. Steam controller is much more rounded and like feels a lot better than the Steam Deck does, honestly. So yeah, I love how the sticks feel. And these are TMR thumbsticks, not potentiometer. Trackpads. Those feel basically slightly smoother than the Steam Deck, actually. Yeah, like not quite as textured. I have the Steam Deck OLED for reference, so like a little smoother than the Steam Deck, actually. Interesting. Right, view and menu. I pressed them in the opposite order I said them. That feels basically just like it does on the Steam Deck, maybe like a little flatter, the buttons are. Quick access menu button. That's an actual proper button sticking out from the controller, unlike what you get on the Steam Deck, so that's nice. How about the back buttons? Oop. Okay, I think these feel like, I think they're, I want to say easier to press than on the Steam Deck, but like harder to press. Yeah, harder to press than like the 8-Bit Do Ultimate 2's back buttons. Actually, that is pretty similar to the Steam Deck. Let us see how they feel in game. As for where they are as I'm holding the controller naturally, I've heard some reviewers say that like for them it lines up like with their ring fingers and their pinky fingers, but like you can see as I'm holding it here, it's my middle finger and my ring finger. I think it just depends on like if you hold your controller like this or like this. Because if I'm doing this kind of grip, then yeah, it's my ring and my pinky fingers, and like that bottom back button's really awkward to press. But I hold like this with just my index fingers on the triggers, and my middle fingers and my ring fingers are what are lining up with the back button. So that's exactly like how it is on Steam Deck for me. Okay, I think that's all the inputs. Yeah, so far though, this feels excellent in the hands. Like this feels so good. I love how quiet the face buttons are, because they're really like, at least on my Steam Deck OLED, they're kind of clacky, but like this is really quiet. It's like, it's kind of somewhere in between the Steam Deck and the DualSense, I would say. Then the D-pad definitely feels a lot better for like kind of rolling it around the diagonals and everything. It's a lot, doesn't feel nearly as good to do that on the Steam Deck. So far, without getting into games testing yet, D-pad definitely feels better. Gonna need to get to games testing though to really test out the trackpads, but yeah, let's get to that. All right, so and here's the puck. Didn't even look at the puck. All right, how satisfying is the magnet? Let's see, let's get that lined up well. oh, that's gonna be very fun to fidget with. That is very, so satisfying. Oh, okay, fellow autistics, we have a very expensive new fidget toy. Yes, love it. It's very loud, but it's good. That's great. That's great. Okay. All right, let's get this plugged in and set up then. All right, so for context, the OS that I have running on my gaming PC here, this is the latest SteamOS beta. At the time of this recording, that is 3.8.4. So there will be no testing on Windows in this video. This is just SteamOS. Let's plug in the puck. Now, do I need to turn on the controller before any firmware stuff comes up? Oh, that lit up. Okay, now we have a thing in the top right. Let's see. Okay, settings, system, hardware updates. Update now. Now updating your Steam controller puck. Please keep it plugged into your PC until the update is complete. Okay. Under your power, make sure to plug it back in. Okay. All right, so unplug puck. And then plug in, whoops, plug in controller. Things about your, okay. Before you get in game, here are a couple important things about your Steam controller. Before you get in, let's install an important firmware update. All right. Plugged in until update is complete. You can now plug your puck back in via USB-C. Steam controller puck is a wireless transmitter connecting your controller to your PC and is also a charging station for your controller. All right, so unplug you. Plug puck back in. We'll just kind of shove that over there for now. And let me also, when I turn it on, I don't know if this will come up on the mic. Might have come up. Uses the haptics to make sounds just like the Steam Deck does. Let's go to controller settings. All right, no, not that. Details for you, controller name, Steam controller. Hold on, let's get the ping on the mic. Love that. I do love that. Let's see, Game Rumble, Steam haptics. And I like to have the universal face button glyphs because then you don't need to worry about if it's ABXY or BAYX or cross square circle triangle. All right, let's do calibration and advanced settings. Okay, so this is kind of weird because I know in some of like reviews and stuff, I saw more settings in here than what I have here. I remember like one in particular, like trackpad lockout, but that's not here in my settings. I also don't see, no, gyro's right here. Never mind. Hello, gyro. Is it not working? Gyro? Do I need to calibrate you to begin with? Let's see. We'll just do an initial calibration, I guess. No, it's not doing anything. Okay, that's probably fine. Grip sense. So it's not on its default setting by default. That's interesting. Hold on. Set to default. Pretty much the way it is by default. If you want to access and use the back buttons here, you are also going to be activating grip sense. Does just take one finger as well. Okay. Yes, I don't know. I know like the main thing they advertise it for is gyro. Obviously, I'm definitely going to need to tune this and figure out what I want to do with that. It might just, like in actual gameplay, it might be fine with the default, but I might also, I'll probably mess around with the range and responsiveness later. See, haptics, these are probably fine at default. Yeah. All right. Oh, now the gyro's on. Okay, excellent. If I leave you still, how are you looking? It seems about the same as I get on Steam Deck, maybe a little better. Okay, joysticks. These are TMR sticks. We are turning that all the way down and all the way down. All right, excellent. All right. First things first, let's do some D-pad testing. I'm going to jump into Shovel Knight. I don't really play fighting games, so my go-to for D-pad testing is 2D platformers. Now, yes, there are definitely more challenging platformers that I could test in, but first level of Shovel Knight is nice and simple. I need to set up my back buttons, actually. Wait, okay, so that's either I just didn't modify these on my Steam Deck or it didn't actually transfer what I have on my Steam Deck. I don't remember. I do know on my 8-bit Do controller I like to have this back button as my... Okay, there's like several different things they're called in this depending on the character you're playing. Was it Relics? I think it's Relics. Yes, okay. Shovel Knight is Relics. Right. So yeah, Y button, or back top button, Relics. Yeah, definitely feels better than the Steam Deck's D-pad. Much, much better. And to be clear, it is not a tactile D-pad, it is still like a membrane D-pad, like traditional D-pads are. But for being that, same with the face buttons, you know, does feel really good to me. And definitely feels better than the DualSense D-pad, which I'm kind of harsh on the DualSense D-pad because mine is like squeaky when I try to roll it like this. But it is actually pretty good because like it does, for as much as I don't love the DualSense D-pad, it does at least avoid accidental diagonals. Actually, this is doing pretty decent at it too. I'm only getting an accidental diagonal like to the right. Okay, so I only really get accidental diagonals like to the right, but I have to like try for it. So yeah, it's working out pretty well. I'm not sure though how I feel about this versus the 8-bit Do Ultimate 2 and the Pro 3, because like those controllers were after 8-bit Do switched from their old like membrane D-pads to like tactile D-pads, and I do really like those. Like the Pro 3, because it's positioned with like the PlayStation layout, puts the D-pad in, you know, like your primary position. I might like this D-pad better. I'm not sure though. It's very close. Now, I'm also not somebody who plays a ton of games that are like D-pad for primary input, but you know, just first impressions here in Shovel Knight, this D-pad does feel really good to me. Okay, before I get to the rest of the level, let me do something else here. Because I know that there's going to be a lot of people watching that love the original Steam controller, and they want to know, like, how does trackpads for primary inputs feel? Let's set the left pad. It's already set the D-pad. Let's turn off requires click. I'll go ahead and leave the dead zone 5000 since they defaulted to that. That's fine. I'm going to leave default haptics for now. Let me see how that feels. So this will be D-pad or trackpad now. Let's turn the haptics up higher. Let's do high haptics. Okay. So yeah, the placement is pretty much just like how it is on the Steam Deck. Oh gee, okay, well, I was about to say it's not terrible to use, but I loved that pretty badly. All right, hold on, maybe let's look at the settings here again. Because on the original Steam controller, trackpad for D-pad does work really well. Let's try default dead zone. I don't know if that'll actually feel better here. Probably not. The advantage the original Steam controller has, you see on the left D-pad there's like that cross-shaped like ridge in it. That really helps with like not having to look at the pad and knowing like where your thumb is at, and just, you know, better tactile feedback. The Steam Deck and the Steam controller don't have that kind of ridge, so you kind of just had to wing it. Would not say it's the best for use as a primary movement input. Because I can already tell, like, even when I'm not trying to, I'm definitely hitting the diagonals, like mostly up and down. So yeah, I mean, That being said, could definitely also tweak the settings. Let me just out of curiosity, what if I just do 4-way no overlap? I'll also try crossgate. That might work better on this, but we'll see. So let's do this way. So this is gonna be like basically just left and right, unless I do like explicitly down though. That does mean I can't move while also or actually no, because if I pogo once and I just go left and right, like that's fine. Oops. Yeah, let me try crossgate. See how that feels. Oops, not analog emulation. Okay, crossgate. Where are you? Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll see how crossgate feels. It's like, again, like very explicit, like zones when you get to diagonals and whatnot. I don't know, we'll see how this feels. When was my last checkpoint? Is it before the dragon? I think it was before the dragon. Okay, I think crossgate is a little better. Kinda. Yeah, I think crossgate works better. But, yeah, would definitely stick with the D-pad, personally. But, you know, it's doable. D-pad's probably better, though. There we go. Right, so D-pad and trackpad experiments aside, every other button on this feels fantastic so far. Very happy with that. Speaking of the trackpads, I'm going to jump into Marvel Rivals to test the trackpad as mouse and stuff, and also gyro. That's probably going to be exactly the same as it is on Steam Deck, minus the addition of grip sense, so we will see with that. Okay, so this is exactly like on my Steam Deck. Cool. Let's just go into, that's it. I think the click strength actually feels different, like lighter than what I have on Steam Deck. Interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go into practice range. Alright, so we're just going to stick with my Steam Deck layout for now, because that's simpler. Alright. And I'm not going to go too much into what my config is exactly in this video, because I plan to do a dedicated follow-up for Marvel Rivals later. But let's just kind of get a feel for things here. So gyro feels about as I'd expect. Was my sensitivity off again? Hold on. It feels a little... No, that's 4x. I don't know, that feels different for... Oh, wait, I know what the issue is. Hold on. Because it's copied over from Steam Deck, the orientation is going to be off. Yeah, okay, so for standalone controllers, I highly recommend doing player space. You can stick with yaw, but generally player space is the way to go. Okay. So the main thing right now is just getting used to, like, this kind of feels like Steam Deck, but also it's a lot lighter than the Steam Deck. All the inputs do feel good, though. Okay. Right, so we're also going to test trackpad, so let's do... Ooh. Okay, I might actually need to lower the click strength a little bit. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, it's interesting because, let me see. So this should be set to, like, what, zeroed? Yeah, so on Steam Deck, it still needs, like, a little bit of pressure to actually activate it when it's 0. But it seems like that might be fixed on the Steam controller here, because that's, like, too easy to press now. So let's just put that back to default and see how that feels first, and then I'll adjust from there.
There they are.
Let's see. Okay, so that's a little bit too hard. Yeah, the haptics in trackpads do kind of feel different than on Steam Deck. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it does feel kind of different than on the deck. What's that? That's probably good.
Another hit for Luna Snow. Double KO.
Okay.
4, 3,
Now, because of holding the controller like in view of the camera, I'm going to be worse at this than I normally am. Not that I'm normally good at this anyway, but, you know.
there they are.
Okay, one thing I also keep noticing is, like, I don't know if that's just my hands doing that because I'm not used to the controller yet, but I'm noticing, yeah, like the view kind of just shifting up randomly. I don't know if that's me doing that because of, like, no muscle memory yet or what.
I should be singing
I don't know why that's oh, no, I know what's happening. That's that's me tilting the thumbstick. Like, I'm accidentally tilting that upward. So we probably do, let's do the trackpad instead then. Okay, 14 is actually better than I normally do. I think. That might actually be better than I hold on, I need to, let me check. I think I know what the issue might be here. If we do dead zone, no, that is controller preference. 7, we'll do 7. Alright, just gonna do one more round of that.
5, 4,
I'll do mostly trackpad this time.
2, 1. There they are. What do I do for an encore?
Okay, yeah, that was definitely my thumbstick that was like, that I was accidentally tilting up, because now we're not having that issue anymore.
String of hits.
Oops. Okay, that was my first accidental press of one of the back buttons. That's because I'm kind of gripping the controller tightly. And emphasis on gripping it tightly, because that was not like typical like casual comfort grip there. That was a tight grip. And it took that for me to accidentally pull one of the back buttons, so.
You seeing stars?
Oh. Okay, still got 13, but I felt like I was doing way worse, but I still got 13 with that. So I'll call that decent. I think like with my other controllers, normally I'm getting like not too much lower than this, like 12, 11 average. Again, I'm terrible, but yeah. So overall, I would say it feels pretty good. Also, I'm at an awkward angle because I'm like holding this kind of out into my right because that's in view of the camera. Like my normal position to be like over here, but then you can barely see it, and I don't feel like adjusting the camera because then you're gonna see my crotch, and that would be awkward. So let's not do that.
See them?
All right. So one more thing. Let's see. How do I? Oops, that button. Okay, how the fuck do I also again? Okay, one thing I will say just as I'm going around doing this, it feels weirdly similar, like just as far as like the plastics and everything, weirdly similar to the Hori pad, but like better. Like way better quality, if that makes sense. I guess like ergonomics are kind of similar. And to be clear, the Hori pad I think actually does have good ergonomics. It's just the build quality is terrible. So this weirdly kind of reminds me of that. Even like the stick caps, but like just better quality. So I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm just saying like similar feel. There are definitely games on Steam Deck where I've used trackpads as like the primary input for movement and it feels fine, but like I don't know if it's just like how they're angled on this or what it is with the Steam controller here, but I am having a harder time being accurate with the trackpads on this. So it's also kind of I'm trying to click with it rather than like just using the trigger, so I don't know if that's the main thing. Though, I mean, there is also still the awkward angle I'm playing at. Hold on, I'm going to pull this out of view camera for a sec just to kind of do this a little more comfortably.
Don't get back up. Love that kick.
Double KO. That's 3.
Love that kick.
Wow, 4 in a row. 5. That's amazing. 6 in a row. Way to go.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, yeah, I think mostly that was just the angle I was holding it at. Holding it like normally definitely feels a lot better. All right. Before we move on from Marvel Rivals, let's see how I like grip sense. Not have gyro on right stick because that'll be better in the menu. And let's activate it on grip and just kind of see how that feels. Right, so let me just have gyro on grip, and I'm not doing either of the
There you are, you
like,
cheeky
trackpad or stick for that.
That's 3.
Okay, you know what? I immediately kind of love that, actually. Oh, that's fantastic. Although, okay, issue I'm immediately having just a muscle memory issue of, like, deactivating gyro, because now I need to remember, okay, lift up my fingers to deactivate gyro and not letting go of a stick. So it's a muscle memory issue right now, but overall that actually feels really good. Yeah, so I love how I am able to maintain access to the face buttons this way as well. That is super nice. Let me see here. Haptics. Gyro activation, haptic intensity. Let's try... Wait, hold on. Haptics triggers is on enable disable. Yes, let's see. Okay. That might be a little better then, because I'll know like I don't have it active.
That one's on you, mate. Think I got you good.
Double KO.
Taste some of the steel.
That's 3. Wow, 4 in a row. 5. That's amazing. 6 in a row. Way to go. Unbelievable.
That was almost too easy.
Okay. It's definitely going to take getting used to, because this is, you know, Steam Deck does not have grip sense. This is the only controller I have that has grip sense. But definitely would recommend turning on the haptics for gyro activation if you're going to do grip sense. But actually using it is really good because you just maintain access to all of your face buttons. And that is super useful.
Wow, 4 in a row.
So yeah, definitely gonna need to get used to like ratcheting, gyro ratcheting that way. But I think, speaking of that, normally, you know, I'm doing, like on Steam Deck, I'm doing the right stick
Trophies.
and like just kind of adjusting like this and not ratcheting, or trackpad and not ratcheting, but doing that way. If you like ratcheting for gyro, which I guess I should explain for those who don't understand what that is. Ratcheting is basically like, think of like using a mouse. You have your mouse on your mouse pad. You move the mouse and you let go to reposition. That's what gyro ratcheting is. So if you want to do gyro ratcheting, grip sense is like perfect for that, I would say.
Double KO.
Yeah, definitely going to take getting used to, but it is... grip sense does make that really nice. All right, so next up, just hopping into Death Stranding 2 because I want to test the... Okay, first I was testing the updates to their Steam Input implementation, so I need to change one thing back real quick, one sec. For those wondering, the game does have built-in motion aiming support, and if you want to keep things very simple, go ahead and use that, it's way simpler. But if you want to have gyro active exactly when you want to, and not only when aiming, and you also want to change the settings and stuff, change your right stick from joystick over to touchpad mouse, because then otherwise the gyro and like mouse movement stuff kind of takes priority over the joystick. So it's a lot simpler to just also set the joystick to act like touchpad mouse. It also, you can also directly tweak the sensitivity with that way, so that's pretty nice. Anyway, testing Death Stranding 2, because the PlayStation PC ports tended to have great Steam input support, which also should extend to the Rumble and everything. And I will say the Rumble does feel very good on the DualSense, so let's see how it is on the Steam controller. So far feels very similar to how it did on the DualSense, actually. So that's nice. So I'm going to get out of range of the place I'm at here because I can't fire weapons here. Yeah, so far so good, though. Definitely way better than how the original Steam controller has, like, fake haptics from the, or like fake rumble from the haptic motors in the trackpads, whereas the new Steam controller here actually has proper rumble motors. Okay, no longer on grid. So we can fire weapons out here. Let's see, that's not the right button. That one. There we go. Haven't played this in a little bit. Let's just do assault rifle. So obviously this is not going to have the adaptive triggers like the DualSense does. The rumble does feel good though. Is that burst? Oh no, I see what's happening there. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, adaptive triggers aside, which I will admit are actually pretty nice. This is I don't have a lot of the PlayStation PC ports, and like I think it's pretty much only those that'll actually use the adaptive triggers on the DualSense. I don't know if any other games do, other than the PlayStation PC ports, but this is one of few games I played that actually made use of them. And when I was testing that on the DualSense earlier today, I will admit the adaptive triggers are pretty cool, but definitely would not say they're like a must-have. Other than that, though, the rumble in this does feel good. All right, so the final game I'm going to be testing is the game that by far I have the most hours in on Steam, and also just way too many in general. Final Fantasy XIV. So first, I'm just going to get a feel for like face buttons and D-pad again and stuff by beating up Strike and Dummy here. Let me swap to Viper. Okay. There's one. Oh, there we go. I'm forgetting my rotation already. Hey. Those who are curious about my configuration for FF14, as before, because the Steam controller automatically imports your Steam Deck configurations, this is identical to my configuration on my Steam Deck. I have a separate dedicated video called FF14 on Deck, which I will put in a card. And if you guys are curious about my FF14 config, you can go check that out. I might still do a follow-up specifically for Steam controller here, but in the meantime, that FF14 on Deck video does exist. Bringing that up because you might be watching and wondering about me using the right trackpad as D-pad sometimes here. That is covered in that video. Okay, anyway, yeah, rotation feels good. Excellent. All right, the main thing that I wanted to get on FF14 for, though, the place that I always go when I'm testing new controllers, specifically their thumbsticks, Kugane Tower. We're going to do the Kugane Tower climb. I did kind of bring it up in the very initial impressions at the start of this video. The tension and resistance on the thumbsticks very similar to the Steam Deck, but like they also feel really smooth, which is probably because of them being TMR sticks, so you don't have the physical contact like potentiometers do. There are still, of course, you know, physical moving parts in TMR sticks anyway, but yeah, I do think these feel smoother than the Steam Deck's sticks. Oh, fuck. Okay, so not quite a one-shot, unfortunately. Would have been too easy if it were. Okay, I thought I jumped over that for a sec. Yeah, I think it's... Oh my god, I did it again. What am I doing? What am I doing? I just did this climb, like, yesterday on several controllers just fine. It's okay, Self. It's a new controller. You're not used to the sticks yet. That's all that's happening. And it's definitely not because I'm trying to record it. That's definitely not why we're flubbing. I probably... Wait, what am I saying? Yes, blame the recording. That's why I'm flubbing. I'm usually good at this. I promise. Here we go. I shouldn't have said there we go. I just cursed the rest of this run. I've definitely just cursed the rest of the run. Okay. Let's walk here. Oh god. As soon as I started going, I saw me go slightly to the right there when that's not how it felt like I was pressing. So what it seems to be, I did at the beginning of this, I did set the dead zones down to like their minimum, as you saw, which is also exactly how I have my dead zones on the 8-bit Ultimate 2 set, which also has TMR sticks. I am going to scream. Which also has TMR sticks. And I do find with that, the main thing here, the tension, oh my god, the tension on the Steam controller sticks here, very similar to the Steam Deck, but then I also have my dead zone smaller than on Steam Deck. Not a huge amount smaller though, which is throwing me off as to why I'm struggling so much here. But again, new controller. Still got to get used to everything. I don't know. I might need to actually bump the dead zone a little bit just to not flub. Yeah, specifically to not flub in Kugane Tower, because this is the most important thing of all time, as everybody knows. Yes, the most important thing in FF14, of course. Very much so. Very much, yes. Jump puzzles. The be-all end-all of your skills as a gamer. That's not true. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a cat girl. There we go. Okay. So yeah, had some flubs on the way up. I think it's just a matter of I need to get used to the sticks, but I don't know. I feel like with the minimal dead zone... It's interesting because like the minimal dead zone works just fine on the 8-bit Ultimate 2, but then I do feel like it's messing me up in on the Steam controller here. So I don't know. Anyway, see if I can make the lamp jump. This is the real test, not of thumbsticks, but just of the Kugane Tower climb in general. And I did. Hooray! All right, I'm going to call that test successful despite some of the falls that occurred. And yeah, let's get to some closing thoughts. All right, so overall, this is definitely going to be my main gamepad, just bar none. This is going to replace my original Steam controller, 8-bit Ultimate 2, PlayStation DualSense. I also have the 8-bit Pro 3 boxed up, and several other things up in my closet over that direction. Yeah, this is 100% definitely going to be my main gamepad. I'm still not sure whether I like this D-pad more than the 8-bit D-pads. Probably do like it more than the pre-tactile D-pad ones, but compared to their newer ones. I'm not sure because like it is a membrane D-pad, but it does still feel like very. It still feels like it has a really good tactile feel to it, but it is a membrane D-pad. And like the face buttons, again, like somewhere between the deck and the DualSense. Like they're quieter like the DualSense, but still like kind of a similar feel to the Steam Deck. And then, yeah, the sticks, very good, very nice. Need to get used to them. I might have to bump the dead zone up just a little bit because I'm just bad. And then the trackpads, they do, like the haptics and everything do feel a little different than in the Steam Deck, so that's interesting. And like the surface of them, I feel like it's slightly less texture, but I also feel like the haptics are stronger. Just like as I'm moving my cursor around with the right trackpad here, I feel like the haptics are a little stronger on the Steam controller than on the Steam Deck. So I might actually tweak them in the haptics settings that I showed at the beginning. Very interesting. But yeah, overall, fantastic controller. If you're a fan of the Steam Deck, you know most of what to expect already. Grip sense is going to definitely take some getting used to. But yeah, all in all, fantastic controller. If you have a Steam Deck and you want a standalone controller with all the same controls, this is your only option. But thankfully, it's a fantastic option. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I do want to do follow-up videos focused on specific games, mostly with the idea of like, how's the Steam controller perform in particular genres and stuff, but also just specific games. The first one I'm probably going to do is Marvel Rivals because I haven't done a video on that on Steam Deck, and so want to show my config for that, just like gyro settings, and to also explain the relevant in-game settings, which are important for using gyro with that game. So Marvel Rivals first, maybe Death Stranding 2, maybe a follow-up with FF14 here. I don't know yet. If you guys have ideas or suggestions for games that you want to see me do Steam controller configurations on, I cannot promise I will have every game that people suggest, but if nothing else, genres. We can suggest genres to try. Another thing that I want to do is probably going to come a little later because I know it's going to take some time to figure something out. Total War Warhammer 3, that's definitely on the list. I never did a Steam Deck configuration for that because, well, it doesn't run on the Steam Deck. You can stream to your Steam Deck to use it as a controller, and I've done that a lot, but having an actual dedicated new Steam controller is going to make that a lot nicer. So Total War Warhammer 3 is a strong possibility. But yeah, let me know suggestions in the comments below. Till next time, this has been Axel. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!